I hate old people. A lot of people, welcome back, by the way, but a lot of people, I don't know, I think hate has a bad connotation to it, a bad rap. I think hate is a word that I think should be used more often, because you can hate something. Like, I hate old-fashioned oats that you have to cook yourself. I hate them. Will I eat them? Sure. They're tolerable. Well, most of the time. But I can hate them at the same time. But we can coexist. I can hate you, but I can love you too. But I don't love old people. I think hate is a strong word. It should be sometimes, but I do hate old people. They're slow, frazzled very easily. They can't hear, and then they act and they get mad at everybody else because everybody else is talking so quietly. Like, I could not imagine being so fucking old that you can't hear a goddamn thing, and you're getting mad at everybody else because you think that you're the only person that talks normally. But you're really screaming because you can't even hear yourself. But everybody else is talking at a normal level. But you think everybody's whispering. Like, that's some fucking cool trend that everybody's trying now, just whispering to everybody. Fucking old people. But I was thinking the other day that my dog, she is a German Shepherd Border Collie mix. She turned 3 actually back in February. And ever since she was just a baby, just a little baby puppy, she was not a fan of the elderly community. And I love that about her. She takes a lot of qualities of myself. I don't think, not the least of which, my favorite is that she has a deep disdain for the elderly community. I think it's a good thing, because a lot of them, they have walkers and canes. They smell like death because they're old as fuck. When you're in a grocery store and it's before 6 because they eat at 6 and go to sleep at like 6:45 p.m. But if you're at the grocery store, or if you're at the mall, or if you're just fucking shopping or walking somewhere and there's an elderly person, you are going to be stuck behind them. They walk at a snail's pace. And I'm a nice guy, so sometimes they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm slow." I smile, I say, "It's not a problem at all." But internally, I have a deep disdain for them. Not as a person. I'm sure that somebody loves them. I'm sure that they're a great person. But as a group, I group them all together. I group them all. And I'm sure that there have been elderly people that I have enjoyed being around. I'm sure, maybe, I don't know. But for the most part, when you come across, especially the real elderly people, man, you're driving down the road and you think that somebody just like held up a gas station at gunpoint and they're fucking running from the cops, or they're trying to get away. No. It is just an old, clueless fuck. And they still have their license. States are just giving everybody licenses. I mean, if you think about it, they're publicly funded. So you go in and you buy a license or a tag or anything that goes to them. And if you think of like communities in Arizona, communities in Florida, New Mexico, people where you have a large elderly community. I mean, if you don't let them drive, you're going to fucking bankrupt the damn BMVs. It's a conspiracy, let me tell you. Hate the old people. A lot of them smell. They just not even like, they don't shower, because they do. And then they sit in their fucking recliner all day and they take a nap while Judge Judy is on, and then they wake up. And they have to have supper. They call it supper. They all dress alike. Nosy as fuck. Nosy as fuck. Man, you live around some old people, you can't do anything. You know, you go out to get the paper on a Sunday morning. Who gets the paper? But, you know, they're out there and they're like, hey, Bobby. You're like, what? Fucking Frank? What the fuck do you want? You know, Frank's like, hey, just let you know, I called the cops and put a tip in because I saw you smuggling in 2 kilos of heroin last night. He's like, Frank, I bought 2 pillows from Target. They were bagged because they're pillows from Target. Old people. I don't know if I'm going to keep that joke in. I don't think that's funny. We'll fucking see. I hate the old people. But, yeah, my dog never has liked them. Never. Still doesn't. Old people or younger people. Sure. Children. Sure. Most of them, but the elderly, fuck no. She has deep disdain for them. Favorite part about her. Okay, I'm gonna put this out there. It's not trademarked, so the 2.3 people that listen and watch steal my idea, I will hunt you down and probably kill you. Legal reasons, that was a joke. It's my idea. Okay, so I really thoroughly enjoy yoga. I try and do yoga most of the week. I've kind of faltered a little bit this week, but we're gonna get back into it tomorrow morning. But I really enjoy yoga. I've been doing power yoga for a while now. It's a more intense form of yoga. It's fun. I like it. It's the only workout that I like because I've tried everything. Almost. I couldn't stick with anything else. You know? Lifting weights, I don't like because they're too heavy. They're just too heavy. Not a fan. But yoga, I can get behind that. I can get behind it. It's calming and soothing. And, you know, there's parts of it where you are able to, you know, meditate in a way. And you get great exercise. Great form of exercise. So I think it's a wonderful all-round, or at least the only thing that I've come across so far in my young 27 years of life that is an all-around just great, whether you're, you know, wanting a cardio workout or whether you want, you know, more meditation. There's different forms of yoga for everything. Different. And it's great. It's fantastic. I do want to try some hot yoga, Bikram yoga. There's quite a few places around me that do that. They're expensive as hell. So, I don't know. I mean, I could just fucking turn the heat on in my place and turn on a YouTube video for more than half the price. I don't know. Crazy world we live in. But some people like the studio atmosphere. Nah, not a fan. But I want to start a yoga studio eventually. This is one of my life goals. I have a lot of business ideas running around in this head. A lot of ideas. And this is probably one of my most favorite because the name is very eye-catching. So I'm just gonna come out with it. The name of my yoga studio is gonna be called Crack Pipe Yoga. Now, a lot of people laugh or they chuckle when they hear that because they don't think I'm serious. 100% serious, 100%. I will start a yoga studio or multiple studios under the name Crack Pipe Yoga. You know, some areas might be opposed to that. So some might be called CP yoga. Yeah. But people are going to call it. What's CP stand for? Crack pipe. Sure does. And the reasoning is very simple. One, I don't know how I thought of it. I was just thinking one day and I thought that would be one hell of a name. And I haven't been able to think of any other better name than Crack Pipe Yoga. So the main thing is it's eye-catching. You know, you're driving down the street, you're walking down the block, you open, you know, you're elderly and you open up the yellow pages and you were like, what in the hell is Crack Pipe Yoga? You don't understand. Are we selling crack? Are we just selling crack pipes? Are we selling both crack and crack pipes? Or do we do yoga? Or do we do all of those? Let me tell you, that would be one hell of a long class. Get some crack in you and go for hours. Anyway, it's eye-catching. People are like, they're intrigued, right? They go to the website, they call the cops sometimes. You know, they go to the actual studio and say, what is this all about? And they'll find out real quick. They walk in and they will smell it. And it's not crack. We're not smelling crack because there is no crack in Crack Pipe Yoga. But it's going to be a hot yoga. And you can smoke weed if you want. It is highly encouraged to smoke weed while you are legally, or illegally, who the fuck cares, while you are doing yoga. You know, a Bikram class or just a hot power yoga class. Take some small breaks here and there for a couple puffs of the Magic Dragon. I think it would be a killer idea. Even if you don't smoke, you'll still leave a little bit high, you know, because we're just hotboxing in that bitch. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think it'll catch on with the younger generations of us. You know, maybe we can even have some classes for the elderly fucks or their own little studio somewhere or corner, an alley, something. I don't know. We'll see. Where, you know, because old people, some of them need weed just to fucking calm the fuck down. But some of them are in pain. You know, they got some cataracts, glaucoma. Nobody knows what glaucoma is. But we know that marijuana helps it. So I think it's a great name. It is mine. I will do whatever it takes. If you steal my idea, if you steal the name of my company, I will come after you. But I think it's fantastic. It is probably one of the best ideas I've ever come up with. I think it's good because, you know, one, I think weed needs to be recreationally, it just needs to be decriminalized everywhere. You know, I mean, there's a lot of implications with it. I mean, look at the amount of people that are in prison today because they smoked weed or they were in possession of weed and doing whatever with it. The amount of people in prison is crazy. And I think that would be a good company maybe even to bring awareness to it in, you know, some way. and kind of put that money, in a as a charity that could be a charitable organization, perhaps a truly charitable organization, not the fucking Goodwills or any of those charitable organizations. I'm not going to say where I work, but I have a job, and we we had a company-wide volunteer day where we shut down for the day, and we all go, and we have a bunch of places we can choose to go and volunteer at. And the place I went to, it was 5 hours long, which a long time to volunteer. I feel like I like to think that I'm a good person. I think I do great things for the world. I really do like to think I'm a good person. But, volunteering has a limit. 5 hours is kind of a lot. But there were other places that did a full 8 hours. You have me fucked up if you think I'm going to sign up for a whole day to No, thank you. Even though I'm getting paid the full day. I still get paid the full day, whether I'm working 5 hours or 8 hours volunteering. So I'm choosing the 5. Right? I'm a good person, but not too great to volunteer my entire day. So the group that I went with, we spent 5 hours at one of our local Goodwill stores, and I didn't know much about them before. Because I've probably been in a Goodwill a handful of times tops, and it was always with other people. So I never was shopping like for myself or anything like that. And, but the stories I heard, not from those particular people that do shop there, but other people and news articles and stuff like that. You always hear, discussions or rumors or whatever about how bad Goodwill is, like why they are bad, right? And I didn't know really too much about it. I knew a lot of the money they make doesn't go back to charitable organizations. I knew that to begin with. I didn't know to what extent. So a couple days before we were going to go, or did go, I kind of did some digging and some research on why it is that people say that Goodwill is a bad company. And I've had a lot of good information. Well, not good information, but bad information that was good to know. Or good information on the bad things they do. However the fuck you want to put it. It's a terrible company. Terrible company. Obviously, it's not truly a charitable organization. What they do is their majority of their workforce. The majority of their workforce is a lot of people that are developmentally disabled. So where there's, not too many job opportunities for them, unfortunately. And a lot of the opportunities are of a manual labor sort of thing, which is disgusting in and of itself. But apparently there's laws and things that are in place for those groups of people, whereas they don't get the minimum wage. Majority of the time they don't get paid minimum wage, where they get paid a very small amount of money, a very small amount, much less than the minimum wage. They work long hours, hard manual labor work at very low wages, and it's disgusting that is allowed. And that's why the main reason that Goodwill is as popular as it is and is has as many locations as they do, because they can, the law says that you don't have to pay the developmentally disabled or whoever it is the minimum wage. You can pay them less, which is disgusting, because then the state is saying, and essentially the federal government might not putting a federal law in the books for it, but they're saying these people, these group of people aren't the same or aren't on the same playing field as these other groups of people, which is disgusting, because what makes their time worth less than somebody else's? Because minimum wage in the States, depending on what city and what state you're in, is fucking atrocious. In most places, it's fucking terrible. Where I live, it's a little over $8, I think. So even that of itself is disgusting. But you also have, these group of people that legally aren't even entitled, if they're working at this particular job or doing this particular thing, they're not legally obligated to pay these groups of people at least the minimum wage. So they can pay them, less, which is disgusting. It's disgusting. It's exploitative, and it shouldn't be allowed. It's kind of it's fucking archaic, and it's disgusting. And, I read about that and how, a lot of the money that they make, and most of the money, if not all the money they make, they don't go back into charitable things at all, right? They have a CEO, they have a C-suite of executives. Guess where that fucking money goes? And so I read a lot of that, and I kind of could have, especially the money aspect, probably knew, or anybody could probably, think of, okay, so we can buy things, for cheap or whatever, or cheaper. It's all used items, and, all the money, with all those locations, and it's a corporation, the money's not going anywhere good. You know that, right? If you want to do and buy secondhand items and you want to help people, shop local. Shop local. Even if it's just on like Facebook, Facebook store, whatever the fuck they call it. Who the fuck cares? Right? Because not everybody. Some people buy a bunch of stuff and then they sell it on there. But if you find like somebody that's just a legit person that's selling things, either they need help or they're just getting rid of something, and they don't do that as a living or whatever, that's good. Also, local secondhand thrift stores are also good places. There's a lot of better places to spend your money other than Goodwill. I don't think anybody should go shop at Goodwill at all. It's disgusting. So I kind of knew this walking in there, so I wasn't expecting them to be such a great place for the community, because they're not. And I knew that walking in. And one of the managers gave us a whole spiel about how they're good. If a company has to give you a spiel about why they are good, chances are they're not good, right? Because if you're a good company, if you do good work, if you do good things, you typically don't have to basically beg people to believe you. Like, you have a whole spiel, a whole speech of why we're so good, right? If you're good, word will get around, right? You don't have to tell people that you're good, because, more than likely you're not. But walked in there, we got that whole spiel about how we're so great, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then the front of the store, very well air conditioned, very cool. Cool, not cool. And we go into the back where a lot of the work is done, where there's a lot of people, just people bringing in and donating everything, because again, everything that is donated to a Goodwill store is not purchased. Nothing. They don't pay for any of that, right? They pay for the overhead and their cheap as fuck labor that should be illegal and outlawed, but that's all they spend their money on. And so, I mean, they make 100% off everything that they sell. Again, charitable organization, huh? They do so much good work for our community. And I had no idea. I mean, I had an idea, obviously, going in and how bad it was, but I had no idea how they were actually treated, like in person. And so we go into the back, not air conditioned. All the doors are open because it's hot as hell back there. And you walk back there and you're sweating already. Like, it's that hot. And so all of us that were volunteering, or quite a bit of us that were volunteering, were going through what they would have done with their cheap as fuck labor is what they had us do, because we're free. It's even better. And we sorted through, the group I was with, about 10, 12 of us, where we were sorting clothes. So we were just sorting them. So anything that came in, there were 3 boxes. First one is keep. So if you get your jeans, brand new socks in the package, shirts, sweaters, stuff like that, go in the first box. The middle box is your throwaway box, right? A lot of people that donate used underwear, right in there. It's disgusting. And then your third box was accessories, purses, sunglasses, whatnot, goes in that box. And then that, from those boxes, are then sent over to the other workers, and they, with the shirts and the pants, they hang up, put on hangers, put on racks, and they're taken out to the floor, sales floor. And, I mean, we were there for 5 hours, but it was a lot of hard work. I don't do a lot of manual labor. I have an office job. I work from home. I have a good job. I mean, I have the AC going. I'm comfortable. And, but it was complete opposite there. It's disgusting. And then the group I was with, we ended up, we sorted through all the boxes and everything. So we were directed to go hang out clothes, put them on the racks, and for them to be taken out to the sales floor. And I forget his name, but there was one of the guys that was working there. He was developmentally disabled as well. I think he was there for a couple of years so far, and he said he really likes the job and everything. But I remember he had some water, and he was drinking a little bit of water, and his face was beet red. He was sweating. He was so hot. And one of the ladies I was working with was like, hey, you should go, because there was a large industrial fan over to the side, and she's like, hey, why don't you take a quick break and go cool off, because she was concerned about his health, obviously. Beet red at the face, sweating, feels like he's going to pass out. It's probably best to take a break. He was in front of that fan probably about 2 seconds before the manager of the place was like, hey, whatever your name, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I felt like I was going to pass out. Getting super hot. I'm just taking a quick break. And she's like, well, no, you go take a quick break in your area then. You don't need to do it over here. And me and my coworker looked at each other with disbelief, like how disgusting that was. Because there wasn't a fan over where he was working. That was the only fan in that entire back warehouse part. That was scorching hot, but that was the only fan. And we just looked at each other, and I feel like we had the same thought running through our head of, like how disgusting that was, honestly. Because honestly, it pissed me off, and I wanted to say something, but I was there with work, so honestly, I couldn't. I couldn't say the things that I wanted to say, so there was no point in saying anything. But I mean, there was a point in saying something, obviously, but not worth losing my job over and living on the street. Were the things that I wanted to say. But if I was there without work, livid. But I was just like, I was shocked, honestly, that you can treat somebody like that. Like a grown man, even if it was a fucking child, it doesn't matter. You're just like, no, you need to go back and basically just shut up and do your job. I imagine would have been the words that would have came out of her mouth if the rest of us were not there. I can only imagine what's said when nobody's back there other than them. And but honestly, it shocked me, and I felt terrible that not only does he have to endure that and work there under those conditions, but he also has to do it at a nominal fee below the minimum wage. And yet he still says that he enjoys his job. And it's tough, because he was a nice guy. And they do nothing but take advantage of everybody. Like, he can't take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get some water, take a seat. There's no chairs back there. They don't sit down unless they're on a break. Then they're allowed to sit down. But if they're not on a break, they're not to sit down. They just work non-stop. And I think his break was like 10 minutes or something. He just left, and then we turn around and he's back, and we're like, what the fuck? And it's disgusting that the way people treat other people. It's disgusting, because that's showing that, you're saying as the, CEO or owner or the manager or whatever of Goodwill, that you're better than that person because of whatever your circumstances are. You're better than them, right? You need to crack the whip and get them working no matter what. Because if you have to let him go, there's a line of other fucking people that you can hire at that same or cheaper rate. And at the end of the day, it's the bottom line that they care about. They only care about how much money they make and how can they make more. And that's disgusting. It's disgusting that people are just treated that way. Same thing, honestly, with and I don't fucking care what political party you affiliate yourself with, which is also fucking bullshit, but whatever. But this previous Friday, where Supreme Court voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. And that's also disgusting of how that happened. Because there's a lot of people I find, on social media. I'll go through, TikTok or I'll go on Reddit or whatever, and a lot of people think, and a lot of people can see the truth as well. But there's also a large swath of fucking people that are just too fucking stupid, where they think that, they're championing pro-life. We want everybody to live. But they don't. They don't. Because it's not about pro-life. Because if these people were pro-life, they would care about the unhoused people all over the fucking country. Death sentences in courtrooms or across the country are still a thing. They don't care. Countless wars, like we're in war after war after war after war. We just got out of a war. But we're not out of wars for too long, because what would America be without all of the wars? So we're probably going to be in another war here some point soon. But nobody cares about that. The amount of people that die there, we don't care. But unborn kids, unborn children, they just hold up in so much esteem. They love them so much until they're old enough to go die in war, or until they need to go kill somebody on death row. Then they don't care. Or you're driving to work and you pass 35 homeless people or unhoused people. They don't care. They don't care. Because it's not about being pro-life. And that's what the misconception I see everywhere, is that it's about being pro-life. And it's not. It's about control of women and their body and the choices that they can and cannot make. That's what it's about. It's about control. Because a few of the Supreme Court justices have been involved with it, with the Me Too movement. And the powers that be, the ruling class, were like, we need to nip that in the bud. And this is one way they found to do that. You think you can go and do X, Y, Z, or you can make this decision, or you can say this, or you can say that. We'll fucking show you. That's what that's about. It's about control. It's about, hey, you went and did this, or you went and said the truth about me and about these people. We're people in power. That's what we are. We'll show you what we can do. And that's what they're doing. And it's disgusting. It is. As I remember back in, was it fucking February or March or whatever, where it leaked that they were going to make this decision. And everybody was up in arms then. And now that it's official. And it's terrifying. I don't see any world where we live in where that should be okay, where we say that we have a choice on somebody else's body. Because honestly, to make a baby, it takes at least two people. I mean, you have to make a child, you have to at least have a woman, and you have to at least have a man, right? And if you need the birds and the bees talk, go talk to your fucking parents, because we're not doing it here. But it takes two people. And you're only controlling one. You're not controlling the other, right? You're not controlling and saying, you know, women do whatever you want, but men, you need to go get vasectomies. Forced vasectomies for everybody, right? They don't do that. Why? Fucking men are in power, right? They always have been. And they're like, well, we're not going to do anything against us. Like, why would I want to do that? But women, they need, you can't get an abortion. And the politicians that are fucking coming out, I think there was one in Ohio recently that said it should be a blessing or something along those lines. If a woman is raped and gets pregnant, it should be a blessing and they should not be allowed to have an abortion. They should have to raise that child. Like, how disgusting is that? That they don't care. Essentially, you're saying you don't care that they were raped. They didn't want the child. I'm sure they don't want the child. But you're forcing them. Not only was that act forced upon them, but you're also forcing another act upon them that they cannot make their own decision with their own body whether to keep the child or not. Because it's not about, and it's never been about, pro-life. Never. It's about control and showing that the powers that be have the control to do what they want with women's bodies. And it's disgusting. The United States is a terrible fucking country. I've said it my entire life. I remember growing up in school, and every morning you stand up, hand on your heart, and you sing the Pledge of Allegiance. And you stare at the fucking American flag. And it was so normal for the longest time. And I remember middle school, around that time, I think, is when I started actually thinking, really contemplating this, honestly, how disgusting that is, where you stand up each morning in school with your hand over your heart, pledging allegiance to your flag of the country and to your country. Like, how fucking dystopian and disgusting is that? That the United States is just this great country that they want you to think, and that it's the land of opportunity. You can do whatever you want, and anything is possible here and nowhere else in the world. Fucking bullshit is what that is. It's a terrible country. I have honestly contemplated leaving, going to another country, still thinking about it, honestly. But change happens within. And that's what I think part of what I'm here is for, honestly, is to help make the world a better place than when I was born into. Because the United States is not even close to being the best country. I mean, we have school shootings, it feels like every week. Some mass shooting every week, it feels like. And again, nobody's pro-life. When people are getting killed by guns, they're just more pro-gun. And you get the message of, here's our thoughts and prayers. But the solution to these gun-loving fucks are more guns, which it baffles the mind. I live in Ohio. We'll go that far. So I live in Ohio, and fucking DeWine, the governor, a month, I think it was last month, or the beginning of this month or so, where they signed a bill, the House passed, and he signed the bill where you can carry a concealed gun with no license, no training, right? You just have to be, I believe 21 years or older, not a felon, to carry a gun concealed. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a license. You don't have to have training. You can just, you're going to the grocery store, strap the fuck up. You know, it's a disgusting world that we live in, that guns are idealized as much as they are. And country has a lot of problems. It's far from perfect. It's a shitty, terrible fucking place. Well, that got deep and sad. But we can all make it a better place. We can all make it a better place. And you know, people will say, oh yeah, you gotta go vote for so-or-so, or vote for that party or this party, and it'll be better. It won't. Not with the current people, not with our current system. I think everything needs changed and overhauled. I think this experiment came to an end a long fucking time ago, and we need to get with it and change it. And I think it's where everybody comes in. You know, because I've met a lot of people that just say, well, this is the way it's always been, and you know, it's not going to change. Not with that fucking attitude, right? Because you can change anything and everything, right? Whether, you know, whatever outcome you want, you can make a change. You can start changing that direction. You can implement things, or you can, you know, work with people, or say, hey, this is what I want, right? This is what we need to do. And you get some people together, and, you know, whether you protest, or you try and get an elected office yourself, or if you say, hey, you know, and I don't think politics is the way to go, honestly, for change. Like, if you're looking for change, or if you're looking to enact change, being a politician isn't going to do anything. Because change happens, unfortunately, and that's why we need to change the system. But right now, change comes with money. You know, if you have a lot of money to throw at something, you can change it. And that's a sad truth and a sad fact. And that needs to be changed as well. The entire system needs changed. So I'll leave us with that. Just live your life. Just in any way that you can. Just make the world a better place. Because it's shitty and terrible now. But it doesn't always have to be. We can leave it for the next people better than we found it. And that's what we should always strive for. All right. Well, that was fun. This is Tuesday, so this will be up Wednesday morning for both video and audio version. So again, if you like what I sound like, come over to YouTube. If you like what I sound like, but don't really like what I look like, hop on over to the audio version. It's just as fun over there. But I will see and talk to you guys all next week.